day last year. Actually won this race. He's 9-2. Aeda been in good form, 6-1 in front of Quincy de Picton. Douglas Julian also on 13-2. With Vermizzi. Rich Lord 14-1. They're getting underway. Long way to go round Haydock. Stuart Machen to call.
Tommy Whittle chased Carrick Boy. White Cap, one of the first to show up, with Mary King in the diamonds of green. Last year's winner Connington Brook, the black and yellow. And against the fence, Douglas Julian. And these four at 5 for an early advantage. Quite a long run to the first. And they're followed by Quincy de Picton and then Vermizzi in the cheek pieces. Mumbles head towards the near side in a maroon jacket. Welford in the red and green. And then Rich Lord in the pale blue with the darker armlets. And Aeda the grey in rear. Rising for the first time. And it was probably just Connington Brook who picked up ahead. Aeda in last place, a little disorganised. Longer run than is usually the case to fence 2 in the back straight. They're just jumping 4 across on the far side today. And it's Connington Brook chasing a third win at the track, and out to defy 11-12. Carrick Boy against the far rail, Douglas Julian pink cap on the near side, and Mary King close up. Then Quincy de Picton, Welford towards the far side in the green jacket. Then Vermizzi, Aeda jumping up well. Small mistake by Rich Lord, Lucy Alexander briefly at the buckle end. Mumble's head dropping to the rear as they move on towards the third. Another plain fence before the first of the ditches, and there Carrick Boy was just ahead. And all 10 safe and sound. So fence 4 finishes off the jumping down the back. Carrick Boy out onto the rail. Douglas Julian down the inner. Connington Brook and Mary King between them, and Douglas Julian left his mark there. Didn't get nearly high enough at the ditch. Left a big hole in the fence. And behind them, Vermizzi in midfield and the cheek pieces alongside Quincy de Picton. And then Welford and Rich Lord against the rail. And Aeda the grey disputing last with Mumble's head. They reach the crown of the far bend first time, and after that blunder at the ditch, Douglas Julian gets an early wake-up call from Jonathan England. Entering the last 2 miles of the race, lining up for fence 5. Carrick Boy towards the near side, working across to Mary King, and Connington Brook and Douglas Julian far side. Again, little to choose between the quartet. Rest over safely. Mumble's head and Aeda the last 2. That's a touchdown in rear. Jason Maguire adjusting one set of goggles aboard Mumble's head as Maguire chases his third winner of the day. Another ditch now. Carrick Boy again with that slender advantage. The rest stream over it. Mary King perhaps just second from Connington Brook in the centre, the white cap, and Douglas Julian away to the right. Tracked there by Rich Lord. And then Vermizzi in the centre. Quincy de Picton, Welford the noseband, Aeda and Mumble's head. Carrick Boy jumping well in front. Another blunder from Douglas Julian, and he almost paid the price there. It was a good sit by Jonathan England, but it's jolted Douglas Julian right back through the field, and he's immediately ridden along to regather momentum before the 8th. Carrick Boy from Mary King and Connington Brook, followed over by Quincy de Picton. Douglas Julian better but slow, ridden away from the fence, and receives another livener and one more to make sure. So up to halfway in this stamina test for the blue square bet, Tommy Whittle, and Carrick Boy seemingly enjoying himself in the muddy conditions in front. Goes into the paddock turn from Mary King and Connington Brook. Couple lengths away then to Quincy de Picton. Then Vermizzi in the pale blue. Dua Stayer attracted a bit of support at odds before the race. Couple lengths to Rich Lord. Welford is chased along. Aeda still in rear under Dennis O'Regan. The grey Aeda alongside Mumble's head and Douglas Julian, and the latter named pair are ridden along. So a slight descent to the 9th. And back with the leaders. Carrick Boy has his nose just ahead of Mary King in the centre, and Connington Brook towards the near side. And then Quincy de Picton, who races wide of Rich Lord and Vermizzi, could jump again by the leader Carrick Boy. Still Douglas Julian ridden along. He blundered again at that one, left another hole in another fence on the way round. The track will be sending him the bill for repair shortly, as Connington Brook, Carrick Boy and Mary King forge on towards the 10th, from Quincy de Picton nosing up into 4th, and then Welford with that noseband almost indistinguishable now, spattered with mud. Carrick Boy safely over the next. Connington Brook rather reaching for it. In rear, Aeda the grey has just begun to pluck off 1 or 2 of the stragglers as they move on towards another plain fence over in the murk on the far side. This is the 11th. It's about a mile from home. Carrick Boy still chased by Mary King and Connington Brook. And then a couple of lengths away to Quincy de Picton. Welford coming under firmer pressure. And then Vermizzi in the cheek pieces, and Rich Lord as they go to the ditch once more. Carrick Boy was joined by Mary King, who jumped boldly there, came up well under Richie McClernand. Cannington Brook under Tom O'Brien, still in the thick of the action down the inner. Quincy de Picton is bustled along in fourth, hanging on to the coattails of the three up ahead. And then Aeda the Grey, who now strides up on the outside of Welford. Rich Lord and Vermeetsia struggling to go with them, and then a big gap to Mumble's Head, and it looks as though Douglas Julian has given up the unequal struggle. So into the straight with half a mile still to travel and 4 more left to jump. Carrick Boy on the near side, Mary King in the centre, Cannington Brook the far side, Quincy de Picton and Aeda are trying to close. The wings of 4 out, Cannington Brook drew alongside Carrick Boy. Mary King bustled up in the centre by McClernand, comes back on the bridle, and now Cannington Brook and Mary King go on, and Carrick Boy comes under pressure from Coleman. Still Aeda trying to get to them with Quincy de Picton. The last ditch, 2 rising as 1. Cannington Brook the white cap and Mary King under the rail. Aeda still nursed into it by Dennis O'Regan. The grey turning swiftly browner still as they move towards the second last. Cannington Brook, Mary King, Aeda 2 lengths down, then Quincy de Picton. Cannington Brook just ahead over the second last. Can he defy 11-12, or will Mary King with a lighter burden see him off? Aeda driven hard to try and get to them, but he's now 4 lengths down. Here's the final fence in the Tommy Whittle. Cannington Brook and Mary King. Cannington Brook by a whisker from Mary King, 200 yards up the run into cover. Cannington Brook digging in, oh so gamely, but Mary King won't lie down. He fights on hard on the near side. Cannington Brook and Mary King as they go for the line. Cannington Brook and Mary King in a thriller, and the judge will be needed to be separating them at the end of 3 miles in the Tommy Whittle. A great finish between Cannington Brook and Mary King, who went past as 1. Aeda next, and then Quincy de Picton and Welford.
Well, what a fantastic race. Great ride given to Aeda from Dennis O'Regan, came there with every chance. Carrick Boy ran much better, but the horse in the light green colours this side, Mary King and Cannington Brook, what a ding-donger they've had, Jim. This is just, it's like watching a cross-country race for humans. They've given everything. 2 really good horses. They jump well, hardly missed a jump all the way round.
Yeah, they both jumped really well, and Richie McClernand for the first time picks his stick up going to the last, gets a good response. Cannington Brook is the quicker away, must have gone a length up, but at the line this is very, very close. It still hasn't been called yet.
Yes, the angle just suddenly changed. You think Cannington Brook's won, and as it turns round, no, he must have won, surely. Don't know where the judge has been. I've said that, and they'll probably find it's the other way round, but it